well-known therapist was killed at her Hollywood Hills home.
Police say she was murdered.
They're also asking anyone who has any information to come forward.
This is Michael Herman. The footage you're about to see was captured just minutes after he told police he heard something horrifying. The sound of his roommate being thrown out of a window. Panicked and unsure of what he just witnessed, Michael leads officers to the back of the house. What they find sends a chill down their spines. Lying on the ground, barely alive, is 38-year-old Annie Harwick, a well-known therapist and beloved friend to many. Her body is covered in blood. She's clinging to life. At this point, officers have no idea what really happened, whether there's a violent attacker still inside, or if Michael himself is hiding something. And with blood on his hands and a jittery, nervous demeanor, it doesn't take long for police to see Michael as their first and only suspect. Darren. Paramedics arrive within minutes and immediately begin working to save Annie Harwick's life. Her pulse is weak. Her injuries are severe. She's rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Every second counts. Back at the scene, detectives start their investigation. The first thing they notice, the French doors leading to the yard have been shattered. Glass scattered across the floor. A few drops of blood trail just inside the doorway. But something doesn't add up. The rest of the house? Completely untouched. Valuable electronics, expensive artwork, and personal items, all still in place. Nothing appears to be missing. If this was a break-in, why didn't the intruder take anything? Right away, suspicion grows. This wasn't a robbery. It wasn't random. Whoever did this came for Amy. As detectives search for answers, all eyes turn to the one person who found Amy, her roommate, Michael Herman. Michael tells police their relationship was strictly practical. They'd met less than a year earlier through a mutual friend. When Amy needed help covering rent, she offered Michael the downstairs room. Nothing more. But police aren't ready to take him at his word. Not yet. They photograph him and quickly notice scratches and scrapes across his arms. To detectives, it looks suspicious, like signs of a struggle. They ask him to walk through the night step by step. Michael explains he spent Valentine's Day alone, went to bed around 8 p.m., and was briefly woken up an hour later by a loud noise, like glass breaking. He assumed it was Amy upstairs. Maybe something had fallen. So he went back to sleep. It wasn't until around 1 a.m. that he was jolted awake again, this time by the sound of Amy screaming, and what he describes as someone being thrown through a window. He ran outside in a panic, scraped his hands climbing the fence, and borrowed a neighbor's phone to call 911. His story is strange, but so far it checks out. Michael is nervous, even shaken, but fully cooperative. Detectives want to believe him, but until they have real proof, they can't rule anything out. Just as the investigation stalls, a breakthrough comes from the house next door. Amy's neighbor has a Ring security system, 2 cameras capturing both the front yard and the side of the property. Detectives review the footage, and what they find changes everything. At exactly 1:08 a.m., the front door camera captures a familiar face, Michael Herman. He's running frantically from house to house, pounding on doors, trying to get someone, anyone, to help. This matches the timeline of his 911 call and backs up a key part of his story. For the first time, there's real evidence suggesting Michael might be telling the truth. But then, the second video surfaces. Timestamp 8:53 p.m., nearly 4 hours earlier. This footage shows a different man approaching Amy's property. He's white, wearing a baseball cap, and most notably, a pair of large, heavy-duty work gloves. His movements are calm, calculated. He's not lost. He knows exactly where he's going. As he gets closer to the camera, he suddenly reaches up and covers the lens, clearly trying to hide his face. Whoever this man is, he's not Michael Herman. And it's now obvious. Someone else was there that night. Someone who didn't want to be seen. It's a chilling moment for investigators. Because now they know. Michael's not hallucinating. He's not lying. There's another person out there, and they may be capable of much worse. With a new suspect possibly in play, investigators return to Amy's home, this time with fresh eyes and renewed focus. They scour every corner of the bedroom, hoping something, anything, might point them in the right direction. That's when they find it. Amy's cell phone, lying near the edge of the mattress, seemingly untouched. To detectives, this is more than just a phone. It could be a witness. Amy may not be able to speak, but her messages, calls, and photos might do it for her. Investigators carefully extract data from the device. Her digital life unfolds before them. Hundreds of contacts, countless text threads, social media messages, calendar reminders, location history. It's a lot to sift through. But then one name rises to the top. Robert Koshland, listed not only as a frequent contact, but something more. He's the only person Amy had shared her live location with. A rare level of trust, especially for someone who had taken steps to protect herself. Robert isn't just another friend. He's her best friend. The one she turned to when she felt unsafe. And now police are ready to turn to him, hoping he can help uncover the truth about what really happened that night and who might have wanted to hurt Annie Harwick. Detectives reach out to the one person Amy trusted with her location, the man her phone kept connected to, Robert Koshland. When police call him in for questioning, Robert arrives without hesitation. He has no idea what's going on, only that something terrible has happened to his best friend. Sitting across from investigators, he begins to tell them about Amy. She wasn't just a public figure or a well-known therapist. She was a light in every room she entered. Brilliant, outgoing, a little quirky, and endlessly compassionate. Robert and Amy met in 2012 at a pool party in Los Angeles. What started as a casual chat quickly turned into a close friendship, built on shared humor, mutual respect, and daily support. They weren't dating. They didn't have to be. They were family. As police listen, Robert helps them start piecing together Amy's final hours. It was Valentine's Day, and Amy had plans with close friends. A fun, low-key girls' night in Los Angeles. They went to a live show, laughed, caught up, and texted throughout the night. Robert even received a message from her, a photo time-stamped 2:05 a.m. In it, Amy is sitting on a green couch beside a friend, wearing the same outfit she was found in. Around her neck, the same black beaded necklace, the one that was later discovered torn apart and scattered across her bedroom floor. That photo would become a haunting timestamp, a snapshot of the last moments Annie Harwick was seen alive. As Robert continues answering questions, the interview takes a devastating turn. A detective steps into the room, quiet, serious. He looks at Robert and delivers the words no one ever wants to hear. "I'm sorry, your friend didn't make it. Annie Harwick has died from her injuries." In that moment, everything stops. Robert is overwhelmed with grief, stunned, heartbroken, and completely shattered. And yet, even through the pain, he remains determined to help. Because if there's one thing he knows for sure, Amy didn't just fall. Someone made sure she wouldn't. Survive. As detectives dig deeper into Annie Harwick's past, Robert Koshland gives them a name Amy had spoken with fear and certainty. "If anything ever happens to me," she once told him, "it's Gareth." Gareth Pursehouse, her ex-boyfriend, and, according to Robert, the one person Amy believed was capable of truly hurting her. The relationship had ended nearly a decade earlier, but the fear, that never went away. It all started back in 2014. Amy had just returned from a work trip when she called Robert in a panic. Something wasn't right. Her apartment looked untouched at first glance, but she knew better. Sentimental items were gone. Family photo albums, missing. Some framed pictures had been flipped upside down. And when she opened her laptop, it was completely wiped. No files, no operating system, just a blank screen. She reported it to police, but the break-in left no fingerprints, no evidence, and no clear suspect. To Robert and Amy, though, it was obvious. This wasn't a robbery. It was a message, and it wouldn't be the last. Over the next several years, Amy became the target of an ongoing, disturbing pattern of harassment. Anonymous emails were sent to her job, trying to damage her reputation. A man was spotted lurking near her home, repeatedly, always at night. Amy installed cameras. She bought self-defense tools. She even shared her live location with Robert, just to feel safer. But no matter what she did, the fear never really left. Because both she and Robert believed the same thing. Gareth Pursehouse, the ex she once had to get a restraining order against, was still watching her. Still obsessed. Still dangerous. And now, with Amy gone, detectives know they need to find out everything they can about the man she feared most. To understand the threat Gareth Pursehouse posed, detectives need to go back to the beginning, to when he and Amy first met. It was 2010 at a party in Hollywood. Amy, then in her late 20s and working toward her therapy degree, was just starting to make her mark in Los Angeles. That's when she met Gareth. He was charming, loud, funny, and seemingly down to earth. A tech guy by day, photographer, and aspiring stand-up comedian by night. Amy was drawn to his energy, and before long, they began dating. For a while, it looked like they were a good match. Two smart, ambitious people building a future together. But behind the surface, things were shifting. Amy's friends noticed her pulling away. She stopped coming to social events, spent less time with the people closest to her. She wasn't herself. And then it got worse. After nearly a year of dating, a fight between Amy and Gareth turned violent. Amy called 911. She left the house that night, and left the relationship for good. She didn't just walk away, she took action. Amy documented the harassment that followed. She saved text messages, voicemails, and photos of injuries. With overwhelming evidence, she went to court. The result? A 5-year restraining order against Gareth Pursehouse. On paper, he was out of her life. But in reality, he never let go. When the order finally expired, Amy's fear only grew stronger. Gareth had stayed silent for years, but now, without legal boundaries, he re-emerged. More aggressive, more unhinged, and more dangerous than ever before. Amy's friends say she was terrified. If anything happens to me, she had warned Robert, it's him. Now, detectives are beginning to believe she was right. With Gareth Pursehouse now a prime suspect, detectives go back to the Ring camera footage, this time with a new set of eyes. They compare the blurry figure seen at 8:53 p.m. with a recent photo of Gareth. Same height, same build, same gait. The jawline, the posture, everything lines up. The gloves, the hat, the moment the man reaches up to cover the camera. It's him. Investigators now know the truth. Amy's stalker was not a shadow. He was real, and he was there. Piece by piece, detectives reconstruct the timeline of that night. 8:53 p.m. While Amy is still out with friends, Gareth is caught on camera sneaking onto her property. He climbs a fence, enters through the backyard, and smashes the glass of her French doors using his gloved hand. He's careful not to leave prints, but a cut on his arm suggests he wasn't completely careful. Once inside, he doesn't take anything. He doesn't even go downstairs. Instead, he climbs the stairs and slips into Amy's bedroom. And waits, under her covers, in her bed. Hours pass. Then, at 1:01 a.m., Amy returns home from her girls' night. Her phone records a final message to Robert. She heads upstairs, completely unaware that someone is hiding in the darkness. The confrontation is sudden, violent. Gareth grabs her. She fights back, biting, scratching, trying to get away. Necklaces are torn from her neck. Her bedroom is left in chaos. The beads found scattered across the floor match the ones she wore in the 2:05 a.m. photo sent just hours before. Then the unthinkable happens. Gareth overpowers her. At 6'4" and nearly 250 pounds, he pushes Amy toward the balcony. There's a struggle, and then a fall. She lands in the backyard, barely alive. As Michael Herman runs for help, Gareth makes his escape. He's caught again on the Ring camera, this time leaving. By the time police arrive, he's long gone. But with surveillance footage, the physical evidence, and Gareth's violent history, investigators finally have what they need. They're not just dealing with a break-in, they're dealing with premeditated murder. Now, certain of who they're looking for, police waste no time. Just hours after identifying Gareth Pursehouse as the prime suspect in Annie Harwick's attack, officers move in. February 15th, 2020, 4:30 p.m. Detectives locate Gareth at his apartment in Playa del Rey. He's walking toward his car when officers arrive, possibly preparing to flee. They stop him on the street. He's calm, eerily calm, as they tell him he's being taken in for questioning. But almost immediately, something catches the investigators' attention. Gareth is covered in injuries. He has fresh scratches across his arms and hands, the kind you get from someone fighting back. And on the inside of his bicep, a deep bruise shaped suspiciously like a bite mark. It's exactly what Robert said Amy would have done. She would have fought with everything she had. Back at the station, Gareth sits down with detectives. They ask him the most basic question. When was the last time you saw Annie Harwick? Gareth casually shrugs it off. It's been years, he says. But that answer doesn't hold for long. Because while Gareth speaks, forensic teams are processing the crime scene. And they've just made a match. Blood found near the broken French doors, the same blood that trailed through the house, is a DNA match to Gareth Pursehouse. It's no longer just suspicion, it's science. But even as the evidence mounts, Gareth shuts down. He refuses to answer further questions, offers no explanation, no alibi, no emotion. The silence is telling. With overwhelming physical evidence and a long documented history of violence and obsession, police place Gareth under arrest. He is booked into LA County Jail, charged with the murder of Annie Harwick. But for detectives and for Amy's family and friends, this is just the beginning of a long road toward justice. After years of grief, shock, and waiting for answers, justice finally begins to take shape. In 2023, Gareth Pursehouse stands trial for first-degree murder, nearly 3 years after Amy Harwick's death. The courtroom is packed, not just with legal teams and press, but with Amy's friends, colleagues, and loved ones, all united in one mission: to make sure her voice is heard, even in death. At the heart of that circle is Robert Koshland, Amy's best friend, her fiercest defender. He takes the stand and walks the jury through everything: their years of friendship, the fear Amy lived with, the stalking, the late-night calls, the restraining order, and most of all, her warnings. If anything ever happens to me, it's Gareth. But Robert isn't the only one who speaks. Dozens of Amy's friends and supporters testify, painting a clear, consistent picture. Amy was not just a victim, she was targeted. And she did everything she could to protect herself. Prosecutors lay out a mountain of evidence. DNA at the crime scene, a match to Gareth. Ring camera footage, showing him sneaking onto her property. A documented history of abuse, police reports, the restraining order, and witness statements. And finally, Amy's own words, in a letter she wrote just 1 month before her murder. In the letter, Amy detailed a chilling encounter with Gareth. After years of silent stalking, he had reappeared in public, screaming at her. She feared it was a sign of escalation. It was. The letter becomes a turning point in the trial, Amy speaking for herself from beyond the grave. When the jury returns, the verdict is unanimous. Gareth Pursehouse is found guilty of all charges, including first-degree murder. The judge hands down the maximum sentence, life in prison without the possibility of parole. It's a moment of bittersweet relief for Amy's family and friends. The man who took her life will never hurt anyone again. But the absence she left behind is permanent. Amy fought to live, and in court, surrounded by those who loved her, she also fought to be remembered. Though her life was taken far too soon, Annie Harwick's legacy is anything but silent. To the world, she was a licensed therapist, a media personality, and a fierce advocate for mental health and relationships. But to those who knew her personally, she was more than that. She was bright, driven, quirky, compassionate, the kind of person who could light up a room and make a stranger feel seen within seconds. She spent her life helping others heal, and in the wake of her death, that mission has only grown stronger. The tragedy of her murder sparked a national conversation, one that cut deep into the realities of stalking, domestic violence, and the failures of the legal system to protect victims before it's too late. In the months that followed, her friends, family, and supporters rallied around a cause, turning grief into change. A petition in Amy's name gained national traction, calling for stricter stalking laws and legal reforms to protect survivors, especially after restraining orders expire. Her story is now used in advocacy campaigns, educational programs, and public service initiatives across the country. Because Amy's life, and the way it ended, exposed something that couldn't be ignored anymore. Her loved ones continue to speak out, refusing to let her voice be silenced. They show up in courtrooms. They fight for legislative change. And they remind the world that Annie Harwick was more than a victim. She was a powerful, compassionate woman who lived with intention and joy, who never gave up on helping others, even when she was the one being threatened. Her work, her story, and her light continue to guide the conversations that matter. And in that way, Amy is still changing the world.